Hello everyone, I welcome all of you in my next online class. This is our, I think, sixth online class, sixth lecture. So, till now, we discussed on drawing. We discussed so many things on drawing, concepts on drawing we discussed. So, before going further forward, again, let's go back, revise the previous topics. So in previous topics, we discussed about moisture content, way of representation of moisture, methods to determine moisture, then equilibrium moisture content, hygroscopicity, hysteresis effect, then different types of moisture, bound moisture, unbound moisture, equilibrium moisture, free moisture, and then we discussed about yes, tell me. We discussed about different, drawing based on their thickness, like thin layer drawing and deep layer drawing. Thin layer drawing means in this thin layer drawing, the drawing completes or the thickness of the grain is less than 20 centimeter, whereas in deep bed drawing, the thickness of the grain is more than 20 centimeter and less than 40 centimeter. In thin layer drying, the grain is fully exposed to atmosphere, so that's why the drying time is very less in thin layer drying. Along with the same time, in thin layer drying, the drying rate also is uniform because the more the grain is fully exposed to air, means surface area also is totally exposed to air, so drying completes very easily. Whereas in deep bed drying, there are different sections in deep bed drying. Bottom portion is called as dried grain and the top portion is called as wet grain, and in between there is drying front. So there in thin layer drying we have seen formula moisture ratio equals to exponential of minus kT, where this moisture ratio is m minus me by m naught minus me, the ratio of the moisture, and k is drying rate constant in second inverse, and t is the drying time, that is called thin layer drying time. But in deep bed drying time, if you want to calculate, then there are we have to calculate two drying time and then we have to add. So what are these two drying time? One is first time required to reach the drying front, another one after drying front, the decreasing rate time. Okay, time required at decreasing rate. So if both these we combine, then we get thin layer drying, deep bed drying time, and then we have different drying models. We discussed modified page model, page model, Pavis model. We discussed about this modified Anderson and Pavis model, logarithmic model, Newton's model. So these are the drying models we discussed. Same equilibrium moisture content models also we discussed, like Chang-Faust equation, Henderson equation. So Henderson equation is the most popular one. Remember the formula also: 1 minus RH equals to exponential of minus CT me to the power n, whereas this RH is called as relative humidity in decimal, and C and N both are constant, depend on temperature, and Me is equilibrium moisture content in percentage. So yeah, I think this up to this we discussed, we completed. So next begin, then let's proceed more. So here we study effect of different factors on drying. So there are different factors which affect drying process. That may be your air temperature, that may be your air velocity, there may be your relative humidity of air, or maybe the exposure time. So this all can affect the drying process. Now how it affect? So it's see, air temperature, airflow, relative humidity, exposure time, variety of grains, initial moisture content, and grain depth. All these factors affect drying process. Now how this air temperature affects? So it's very obvious, it's very clear that if we increase the air temperature, certainly the drying rate will increase. Okay, so here you see vary from 21 degrees Celsius to 77 degrees Celsius, and the rate of drying increases, as I said, if air temperature increases, and equilibrium moisture content decreases if temperature increases. Why? Because if temperature of air increase, that means it will collect the moisture from the grain, and the equilibrium moisture content of the product will be dropped, or it will be reduced. So you can see one graph here. One graph is plotted in versus moisture content versus time of drying. So here the factors we have noted: drying temperature, air temperature. So if the air temperature increases, the drying rate will be increased. Okay, so you see here 40 degrees Celsius, then 50 degrees Celsius, then 60 degrees Celsius. Okay, and that time the drying rate is much higher drying rate decreased to a low point at 60 degrees Celsius, whereas the drying rate is not that much decreased in 40 degrees Celsius. Next factor is air velocity. So how this air velocity affect the drying process? So if internal resistance to moisture content movement is more than surface mass transfer resistance, then air rate has no effect on drying time. So generally the airflow rate is 10 to 68 centimeter cube per centimeter square per second. So here also you can see the air velocity is not affecting that much, but still there is a change in drying rate. So percent moisture versus drying time, we have plotted one graph based on this air velocity. So there are different air velocities we have plotted: 0.3 meter per second, 0.5 meter per second, and 1.5 meter per second. So you see at 1.5 meter per second, the moisture content reduced is very high, or up to a very low level moisture content is reduced. Whereas in 0.1 meter per second, the moisture content reduction occurs, but still it's not that much, comparatively not that much up to as in 1.5 meter per second. So you see 0.1 meter per second, the moisture content is reduced up to a certain level, which one is less than the moisture content reduced in 1.5 meter per second velocity. Okay. Next, further going, you have this air humidity. So here also rate decreases if humidity increases, and it has a less effect. Very true, because if humidity is very high, or if the air humidity is very high, in that case the air will collect the moisture. Obviously, if the air humidity is very high, the air will not collect the moisture. Air will lose moisture and product will gain moisture. So that's why drying rate is decreased. Whereas if you have any dehumidified air, dehumidified air means you have humidity of air is less. In that case, the air will collect moisture from product and product loses moisture. So in that case, drying rate will increase. So this happens. Next is the thickness. So obviously, if the thickness of the grain is very high, the drying rate will be low, and if the thickness of the grain is less, in that case drying rate will be comparatively high. Because if the thickness is less means less thickness is there means the complete grain is exposed to the ambient air. So that's why the drying rate will be very high. If you have more thickness of the grain, then the grain is not able to expose to the ambient air condition. That's why the drying rate is not that much not that much sufficient. So here we can also plot the graph between moisture content versus drying time. So in moisture content versus drying time, we have taken different thickness values like 50 millimeter, then 25 millimeter, and then 5 millimeter. So this thickness if we take, then we can see that at 3 millimeter the moisture content reduction is very less. Moisture content reduction is very high, means it is reduced to up to more, means it's reduced more. Whereas in 50 millimeter, means if the thickness of the grain is more, in that case the drying rate is very less, means moisture content is reduced, yes, but it is not up to that mark, or if it reduces also, it takes more time to dry. Okay, so that's all. So there are next slides, drying utility. So till now, whatever we discussed, drying is mainly needed before storage, because during storage time we have to store the product for a long time. So at that time there is a possible chance of mold growth or bacterial growth. So to protect the product from these microorganisms, we first do drying, we reduce the moisture content, and then at the reduced moisture content level, the bacteria or the fungi, they can't be able to grow. So that's why drying is needed. So it permits a early harvest of crops, can be harvested as per labor requirement, safe storage, product in godowns and warehouse, available even in off season and for sale also. Viability of product is reduced as it becomes or as it removes heat of respiration, moisture content, and byproduct and waste product can be produced or can be used. So here also again, let's end the today's class. So before I end the class, let's today I think this is the last class. Before I think that in it first all the topics we covered by today. So I think only numericals will solve in the next class. So before I finish the first unit, there I'll just remember or recall the topics which are main in unit 1. So first is way of representation, dry basis and wet basis. Dry basis, the mass of moisture by mass of solid, and wet basis, mass of moisture by mass of product. And then in product, mass means is nothing but the combination of mass of moisture and mass of solid, whereas mass of air is negligible. And in air also same, it's a combination of dry air plus water vapor. So here also the change in dry air not possible, only the water vapor in air change. And then we have seen the different methods to determine moisture, like direct method, indirect method. In direct method we have seen air oven, vacuum oven, ground dual fractional distillation method, infrared method. So all these methods, in method, the drying must be continued until and unless the drying or weighing of two consecutive weigh becomes same. Weighing of two consecutive weighing of product becomes same, we must continue the drying process. Once the two consecutive weighing of product becomes same, that means the drying is accomplished. Next we have seen indirect method of drying, like infrared method, vacuum oven method. Then we had electrical resistance method, electrical conductance method. We have chemical method, dielectric constant method. So in all these methods we use some parameters, we calculate the parameter which is related to moisture content. And then we have seen equilibrium moisture content. So what is equilibrium moisture content? Equilibrium moisture content is the moisture content of product when the product loses moisture or gains moisture from environment or to environment, depending on or based on the gradient of vapor pressure of water vapor. So after losing or gaining moisture, the moisture content of product becomes equilibrium with atmosphere, and that moisture content is called as equilibrium moisture content. Then this phenomena of gaining or losing moisture of product depend to environment or from environment. So this phenomena is called as hygroscopicity. And you have seen one incident that means we have seen one graph like equilibrium moisture content versus equilibrium relative humidity. If we plot one S-shaped graph, that S-shaped graph is called as Jobson isotherm, And this desorption isotherm can be two types. One is desorption isotherm, one is adsorption isotherm. So what is desorption isotherm? If we keep a product in humidified air or in humidified air, that means in that case the air will lose moisture and product will gain moisture. Why? Because vapor pressure of water vapor present in air is more than vapor pressure of water present in product. That's why the grain absorb moisture, and this graph, if we plot in relative humidity versus equilibrium moisture content, then we get adsorption isotherm. And same time, same paddy you keep in dehumidified environment, means where the vapor pressure of water vapor present in air is less than vapor pressure of water present in product. In that case, the product will lose moisture, because the vapor pressure of water present in product is much more than atmosphere. So product loses moisture, and that curve, if we plot between equilibrium moisture content versus relative humidity, then that curve is called as desorption isotherm. So it has been found that these two isotherms at a particular same relative humidity, the values won't be same. At same relative humidity, the value of desorption isotherm and adsorption isotherm, there is a difference, and that difference is called as hysteresis effect. Then we have seen there are different models in equilibrium moisture content, like we can name some: Chang-Post equation, then there are Henderson equation, so Kelvin's model. So these are models are there, and out of all these equilibrium moisture content models, only the popular one is Henderson equation. The formula you remember in GATE classes, in GATE exam it comes, numericals on this Henderson equation comes. So the formula is 1 minus RH equals to exponential of minus CT me to the power n, whereas RH is called as relative humidity, equilibrium moisture content is Me in percentage dry basis, and T is absolute temperature in Kelvin, and C and N both are constant, depend on temperature. Then after this equilibrium moisture content, we started different types of drying, like co-current drying, counter current drying, cross flow drying. So in this co-current drying, we have seen that the drying air or the hot air comes into contact with the grain or cool grain, and then grain becomes heated and it comes out of the drying chamber. So in that case, the hot air directly comes into contact with the cool grain, so the quality of the grain is damaged in co-current, but in counter current it can be restricted. Why? Because the grain and the air comes from opposite direction, so the hot air does not come in contact with the cool grain directly. First, the hot air comes into contact with the hot grain which was heated already. So that's why the quality of the grain is not affected or damaged in counter current flow, and in cross flow the grain and air both comes in perpendicular or at 90-degree angle, and in this case we have seen that the the air temperature is remain constant, or it remains constant throughout the process in cross flow drying. So these are the drying process we discussed in classification. Again, we can classify the drying process into two: thin layer and deep bed drying based on the thickness of grain present. Like 15 centimeter thickness is present, less than, then it is called as thin layer drying. In this case, the thickness of the grain is less, so in that case the grain is fully exposed to atmosphere, so the drying continues very easily, or it takes less time to dry the product. But whereas in deep bed drying, the thickness of the grain is more than 20 and less than 40 centimeter. So drying is not that much efficient. There different sections are there. At the bottom portion there is dried grain, and the top portion there is wet grain is there. So first in this deep bed drying, what happens? The air comes with the help of heater. It is heated, and then it comes to blower, and then it is sent into the drying chamber, and then that hot air comes into contact with the grain. It removes it, extract or absorb moisture from the product, and then the air absorb moisture and it goes up. So that section is called as dried grain. After this dried grain, slowly the drying rate will be start to decrease, and it reaches to drying front. And beyond drying front is the interface between wet grain and dried grain. The interface beyond drying front, there is wet grain section is present. There the moisture content of paddy is almost almost 16% to 18%. And at this drying front, after this drying front, the drying rate is decreased because the air absorbs so much moisture, it becomes so humidified or it becomes so saturated that it can't hold the moisture of grain. So it just goes out of drying chamber. And then we have followed some formulas of drying time. In thin layer drying time formula, we have seen moisture ratio equals to exponential of minus kT. And in deep bed drying, we have seen the formula of deep bed drying time formula into two combination of two. One is time required to reach drying front, another one after drying front, the decreasing rate time. So if we combine these two, then we get the deep bed drying time formula. And here again, this drying process, there are several number of models are available, like modified page model, page model, Newton's model. There are so many models are available. Henderson and Pavey's model, modified logarithmic model. So this model formula, just remember, it will some numericals may come on this problem, on this formulas. So here I'd like to finish this class. Next in our class we will start some numericals. We'll solve some numericals. So it will help you to clear all the doubts from the first unit.